Good morning from the Water Utilization Learning Center. My name is Brian Olson. On a very crisp, cool morning at the end of October, I'm out here with Carl Coburn. And I've got Carl out here. As we all know, Carl's our crop protection expert. And so, Carl, we're going to talk about weed control coming up this fall. Why is it important for us to start evaluating weeds and controlling those weeds, looking at the crop next year?
So yeah, you really want to know what your field history is and what weeds you've been dealing with in the past. And when you think about what weeds we want to think about right now, this time of year, it's usually the winter annuals, and then also you even want to be thinking about what weeds are emerging first thing in the spring that maybe we can get a jump start on right now. So some of those would be the common ones in Nebraska and elsewhere is going to be mare's tail, henbit, some of the mustards like pennycress, shepherd's purse, and then also particularly the further west you go, the early emerging in the spring kochia is a constant problem. And so that's something that the mare's tail, the henbit, but also the kochia, you can try to start addressing now and get a head start once you get into the spring. Because as you know, you don't know what the weather is going to be like in the spring. You don't know how much time you're going to have to get out in the field before you're going to miss that ideal planting window. So the more you can do right now, I think the better off you're going to be come spring.
Yeah, and I think that's a great point, because as we look at it, right now is a perfect time to be out applying herbicides. And so as the ground freezes, obviously it's going to stop the herbicides from degrading. And so maybe sometime in that November time frame, if conditions are dry, be a good time to apply.
Yeah, so something you want to keep in mind is if you are going to be spraying this time of year, you want to make sure you're going to be flexible enough and you know what you're planting come spring. So you don't want to spray something right now that's going to prevent you from going to, say, soybeans or corn in the spring. The other thing is if you're targeting weeds that are up right now, let's say you got some emerged mare's tail, you need to think about what kind of weather we're dealing with. If there's already been a hard freeze and you're targeting that mare's tail to try to control it right now, you're probably not going to have the best results. So thinking about the weather that you've had and the weather that you have right now as your coming time to think about spraying, that's going to be important. Some of the things I like to recommend are going to be primarily residual products that if the weeds that are up right now are actively growing, you might get some control from those, but also those residual products are going to potentially carry you through to the spring, help you out at preventing some of that mare's tail from coming up in the spring. You could also get some help on the kochia from some of those products. So again, think about what crop you're going to be going to, but some products that have some nice flexibility to allow you to go to corn or soybeans. One would be metribuzin. Depending on your soil type, you can go to corn or soybeans following a fall application of metribuzin. Another good option, particularly for the winter annuals, is going to be a product that has thiacarbazone and iodosulfuron. That's going to be really good on your winter annuals. You will get some soil activity that'll carry you through to the spring. Another really good option is flumioxazin, and that's one that gets used a lot. And again, you can go to corn or soybeans, and that'll have good activity on the mare's tail, good activity on the henbit, and potentially get some of that early emerging kochia. So I think the key takeaway is just think about flexibility of what crop you're going to be going to, and making sure you're looking at the label and observing those rotation restrictions and everything like that.
Yep, check the label. That's by far the most important thing when evaluating what herbicide to use, and then looking at that next crop. What are you going to be putting out there, and making sure that obviously you're not putting out something that's going to injure that crop. But some great advice. Any final thoughts there, Carl?
Yeah, one other thing. Obviously, if we're at the point of freeze, you're probably not going to have a chance to get a cover crop established, but when you're focusing on mare's tail or even kochia, there have been some good results using cover crops. So you get something established, it's not going to allow that mare's tail to come up, and same with the kochia in some situations. So thinking outside the box, sometimes something like that can help you out too, and be a supplement to your herbicide program.
Yep, but as anytime we're using a cover crop, it's gonna, we gotta evaluate what kind of moisture we have out there, and You know, the farther west we go, we get into dryland situations. Is that cover crop going to impact our next crop? And so it's really going to have to be managed well. But again, we have seen cover crops suppress some that early emergence of, let's say, kochia in the spring. So with that, we'll talk to you in the future about other agronomic topics from the Learning Center.
Thanks for watching this video from the Gothenburg Water Utilization Learning Center. For more information, please call 308-537-4500.